Hello everybody, welcome to my presentation. My name is Khairuddin Abdul Rashid and I'm currently an academic at University Technology Mara, Malaysia. The title of my presentation is COVID-19 and PPP, a review on Malaysia. Before I start, I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Sam Tabuchi of Toyo University for inviting me to make a presentation in this 15th Annual International PPP Forum. Here are the contents of my presentation. I will start by providing an update on the situation of COVID-19 in Malaysia. This is followed by a review on the effect of COVID-19 on Malaysia's economy and strategies that has been put in place to address the impact. Moving on, I will provide a review on the impact of COVID-19 on PPP. And finally, a conclusion to my presentation. Let me qualify myself here. I'm not an expert in public health. Therefore, data that I use in the presentation are from published sources and the sources are duly noted on the slides. COVID-19 in Malaysia. The first case was detected on the 25th of January 2020. Local clusters were detected in early March and it soon became an epidemic in mid-March 2020. In terms of numbers, the situation as of 10th of September 2020, there were a total of 9,628 cases. From that total, 9,167 patients have recovered, 333 cases remain active as of 10th of September, and the total fatality stood at 128 or 1.33%. The map here shows the distribution of COVID-19 cases in Malaysia. Briefly, it can be said that the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting the entire country and that the infection is more prominent in urban areas. The Malaysian response to COVID-19 has been quick and focused. Led by the Ministry of Health Malaysia and the National Disaster Management Agency, it can be said that the Malaysian response to COVID-19 can be viewed from the following four-pronged actions, i.e., detection, treatment, containment, and awareness. In relation to detection, health screenings were conducted at all entry points. Health officers worked with the police to locate possible carriers, identification, testing, and imposing self-quarantine. In terms of treatment and facilities, 28 hospitals nationwide were identified as referral centers to deal with COVID-19 cases. The setting up of COVID-19 fund, the setting up of provisional hospital, and making ready public halls and indoor stadiums if the need arise. In addition, retired medical staff were drafted in ready to serve as volunteers. In terms of containment, the government imposed movement control order, initially including nationwide lockdown, and then slowly being eased, followed by the conditional movement control order and recovery movement control order. People were asked to work from home, strict SOPs were put in place, as well as disinfection activities, especially in high-risk areas. In terms of dissemination of information, the Ministry of Health and the government conduct daily briefings. There were various awareness programs. Most of the media channels and personalities were involved, and Malaysians become accustomed to the hashtag stay home. In terms of the movement control order, there are actually a set of 4 movement control order, i.e. the MCO, which is the nationwide lockdown, CMCO, conditional movement control order, whereby the government is the MCO to reopen the economy but strict SOP in place. Then moving on, the RMCO, which is the recovery movement control order. Within the MCOs, there is the EMCO or enhanced movement control order. This is a situation whereby a locality may be in lockdown if a large cluster was detected. So all in all, Malaysia up to now until the end of the year has gone through a total of 8 phases of movement control order as shown in the chart here. The consensus is that the movement control order has been very successful in flattening the curve in terms of the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Consequently, it can be said that Malaysia's approach in curbing the spread of COVID-19 has been successful. Malaysia's approach has been acknowledged internationally. COVID-19 and the Malaysian economy. The impact of the pandemic on the Malaysian economy has been very severe. According to the Prime Minister, Malaysia lost 2.4 billion ringgit a day during the MCO. The GDP registered a negative growth rate of -17.1% during the second quarter of 2020, while demand both by the public and private sectors dropped drastically. The major sectors of the Malaysian economy registered negative growth except for agriculture. The worst affected sector is the construction sector, whereby it registered -44.5% during Q2 of 2020. Further impact on the economy include an increase in the rate of unemployment, a decline in salaries and wages, a drop in government revenue, while there has been an increase in government expenditure. The increase in government expenditure is largely due to the provision of economic stimulus packages and recovery plan. To address the impact of COVID-19 on the Malaysian economy, the government put in place a variety of measures. Among them were the 4 economic stimulus packages totaling 315 billion ringgit. These economic packages have been effective in helping ordinary Malaysian, employees, SMEs, and others to weather the economic slowdown and facilitate restarting the economy. COVID-19 and its impact on PPP. The impact of COVID-19 on PPP can be viewed as follows. Firstly, some concessionaires experience a decline in revenue. They include operators of toll roads and airports. This is largely due to the MCO, whereby travel internally as well as internationally were banned. Secondly, there are operators that experience status quo in their revenue. They include operators of space and facilities at institutions of higher learning. In addition, some of these operators have got to make adjustment to their KPIs and services due to their facilities being used temporarily as quarantine center and accommodation for medical and health staff. And thirdly, There are operators that experience a surge in demand for their services. Due to the MCO, people stay at home and they work from home. These operators include energy and telecommunication services providers. Further reviews on the impact of COVID-19 on PPP are as follows. In general, concession companies have to provide services as best as they could while they have to adhere to all the directives issued by the government. There is a provision on force majeure in the contract. Most likely, force majeure will facilitate the operators in obtaining extension of time but not loss and expenses. However, a discussion on force majeure is not within the scope of the current presentation. COVID-19 is unprecedented. Depending on the severity of the impact, concession companies may request a review of their current terms of contract, and it is highly likely that contract terms for future PPPs may be subjected to a thorough review. I have provided a brief review on the situation related to COVID-19 in Malaysia and its impact on the economy and PPP. However, the situation remains dynamic. As a conclusion, it can be said that the government's quick action in curbing the spread of the disease, especially through the MCO, is a brave decision. The outcome has been very positive. The economy suffered badly. However, the government's economic stimulus packages brought relief and facilitates restarting the economy. The economy is showing signs of recovery. In relation to the impact of COVID-19 on PPP, it can be said that in the short term, there has been a decrease in revenue to some operators, while others experience status quo or revenue increase. Concessionaires might get extension of time but not loss and expenses. The pandemic required temporary changes to the types of services provided, and concession companies may have got to be flexible and ready in meeting such changes. It is highly likely that concession companies may request their funders and the government to review contract terms, and it is also highly likely that future contract terms may be subjected for a review to accommodate events of this nature and others. Finally, COVID-19 is ongoing, therefore its full impact is yet to be assessed. Here, I would like to thank the frontliners, the doctors, nurses, the police, other security services and administrators for keeping us safe, and let us pray for a swift end to the pandemic. Stay home. Thank you all.